In a startling medical case that has left many baffled, a 49-year-old man from Praia Grande, Brazil, found himself in a harrowing ordeal after experiencing severe headaches. Evaldo Araújo Chaves, a hard-working mason, had been laboring away when the distressing symptoms began to plague him. Little did he know his discomfort was just the beginning of a truly bizarre and frightening journey. Complaints of relentless pains led Evaldo to seek medical attention in hospitals affiliated with the city's public health system. However, his condition soon escalated, necessitating therapy in the bustling state capital of São Paulo. It was there that the shocking truth came to light. The discovery of live larvae wriggling within Evaldo's skull was a horrifying revelation, one that sent shockwaves through medical circles and beyond. His devoted wife, who had been diligently caring for him, made the ghastly discovery. As she cradled her husband, she noticed the unsettling sight of larvae crawling around his head, prompting an immediate dash to the hospital. Their journey to São Paulo was fraught with urgency, as doctors worked swiftly to remove the disturbing infestation. Yet, despite their efforts, the nightmare persisted. Additional parasites were uncovered, prolonging Evaldo's agony and the anguish of his family. The ordeal took an emotional toll, especially on Evaldo's wife, who recounted the harrowing experience with vivid detail. From the frantic rush to the hospital to the painstaking removal of larvae, each moment was etched with fear and uncertainty. Even after returning to Praia Grande for the sake of their young children, the nightmare refused to relent. Urgent surgery became imperative, prompting a race against time to rid Evaldo's skull of the invasive creatures once and for all. Yet, even amidst the urgency, bureaucratic hurdles and delays added to the family's distress, prolonging their ordeal and exacerbating their anxiety. As they navigated the labyrinth of medical facilities and procedures, each moment weighed heavily on the family, underscoring the fragility of life and the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the darkness that engulfed them, their unwavering determination to overcome prevailed, offering a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. The saga of Evaldo Araújo Chaves serves as a stark reminder of the unpredictability of life and the resilience of the human spirit. In the face of unimaginable adversity, the bonds of love and family proved unbreakable, guiding them through the darkest of times towards the promise of a bee when the weight of desperation settled upon them. Each passing moment seemed to diminish their hope. Evaldo Araújo Chaves's plight became increasingly urgent as they reached Santos, their beacon of hope in the face of adversity. There, amidst the bustling city, a glimmer of optimism emerged when medication was administered, only to reveal the harrowing truth. 25 larvae emerged from the bottle, a stark testament to the severity of the infestation. However, this brief moment of relief was quickly overshadowed by the grim reality that followed. Despite their initial hopes that the larvae had been eradicated, a return to the emergency room on Sunday brought devastating news. The parasites persisted within Evaldo's skull, continuing their relentless assault on his fragile tissues. The discovery of multiple holes in Evaldo's head during testing painted a chilling portrait of the larva's insidious rampage. These parasites were not content with superficial invasion. They voraciously devoured the tissue beneath his skin, leaving destruction in their wake with each passing moment. With options dwindling, the family turned once again to Sister Dulce Hospital, their last bastion of hope. Yet, faced with the grim reality of Evaldo's condition, they were met with resignation. The stark truth became undeniable. There was no recourse but to entrust Evaldo's healing to time and fate, a daunting prospect given the severity of his affliction. While days stretched into agonizing uncertainty, the family's desperation reached a fever pitch, driving them to turn to social media in a desperate plea for aid. Their fears loomed large as Evaldo's suffering intensified, his torment exacerbated by the relentless onslaught of the parasites. In a race against time, they fought tirelessly for Evaldo's survival, knowing all too well the dire consequences of inaction. Finally, a glimmer of hope emerged as Evaldo was transferred to São Paulo for specialized treatment, offering a ray of optimism amidst the darkness that had engulfed them. Amidst the turmoil, Gon sought insight from Dr. Luis Cabral, a neurosurgeon, shedding light on the rarity of such cases in urban settings. Dr. Cabral's explanation of the larva's origins, known as Bicho DP, traced their prevalence back to agricultural regions abundant with cattle and horses. Yet, despite their rural roots, these insidious parasites had found their way into urban environments, posing a dire threat to individuals like Evaldo Araujo Chavez. With the insights provided by the neurosurgeon, the transmission of these larvae can occur due to a variety of factors, including inadequate sanitation practices and the lack of proper guidance and instruction. Furthermore, contact with infected animals can serve as a vector for transmission. When flies alight on infected mammals, they become carriers of the larvae, subsequently transferring them to humans through contact with open wounds, as outlined by the neurosurgeon. Treatment protocols for larvae infestations are outlined with precision by the neurosurgeon. Beginning with appropriate antibiotics tailored to combat larvae, pharmacological therapy is deemed the most effective method for eradication, particularly when dealing with smaller infestation. However, in cases where the infestation is extensive and surgical intervention is necessary, admission to a hospital for surgical removal becomes imperative. In a clarifying statement, the director of Sister Dulce Municipal Hospital underscores the comprehensive care provided to the patient. Despite the determination that surgery was not immediately warranted, the medical team ensured that all outpatient treatments were diligently administered, with therapeutic medication management implemented throughout the process. Additionally, instructions were provided for daily dressing changes, emphasizing the importance of continued care and follow-up at the family health unit. The narrative concludes with the assurance that the patient and their family were kept well informed about the treatment regimen, with hospital personnel readily available to address any queries or concerns. In a parallel anecdote, a woman's vacation took an unexpected turn when 2 maggots were discovered burrowing in her scalp. Perplexing both the woman and her attending physicians, the unsettling discovery occurred amidst the perplexing bumps on her skull. Recounting her experience, she described feeling something unsettlingly moving in her scalp, a sensation that left her shaken upon her return home. While vacationers typically bring back mementos and fond memories, the presence of maggots in her hairline was an unwelcome souvenir, a stark reminder of the unpredictable and sometimes unsettling nature of travel. Following her journey to Argentina, a woman from the United Kingdom found herself in a nightmare scenario, as recounted in a case report published in the British Medical Journal. Shortly after her return home, she sought medical attention due to pain in her left ear and swollen lymph nodes in her neck. Initially diagnosed with an ear infection, she was prescribed medication and sent on her way. However, her troubles were far from over. A week later, she returned to the doctor with 2 small, uncomfortable bumps on her head, initially diagnosed as cystic acne. Despite antibiotics prescribed by the doctor, the cysts grew in size over the next 3 weeks, accompanied by stabbing pains and the alarming presence of clear, odorless fluid. Though a friend had suggested the possibility of a parasitic infection early on, the woman dismissed the notion, relying on the assurance that the lumps were benign cysts. Yet, as her discomfort intensified, she raised the possibility of a human botfly or maggot infection with her doctor. However, the case report did not provide insight into the doctor's response. 7 weeks after her return, the woman's condition took a dire turn, prompting her hospitalization. Despite negative blood test results, she described a sensation of movement in her scalp, a disturbing sign of the underlying issue. Upon examination, the lumps, now less than an inch in diameter, revealed tiny apertures known as punctums on their surfaces, a telltale sign of botfly larvae infestation. Upon diagnosis, doctors devised a plan to remove the larvae. Using Vaseline to smother the lumps and cover the punctures, they aimed to cut off the larva's air supply, forcing them to migrate to the skin's surface in search of oxygen. It was a delicate procedure, fraught with uncertainty, but it offered hope of relief from the torment caused by the insidious parasites lurking beneath her skin. The woman's ordeal serves as a chilling reminder of the hidden dangers that can accompany travel to unfamiliar lands, highlighting the importance of vigilance and swift action in the face of unexpected medical emergencies. Following the procedure, it was discovered that one of the botfly larvae had perished, while the other required medical intervention for removal. After thoroughly rinsing both incisions with saline solution, antibiotic ointment was applied to the scalp to stave off infection, ensuring the woman's recovery could progress without complications. Botflies, notorious for their unique reproductive strategy, deposit their eggs on mosquitoes, allowing their larvae to be transmitted to unsuspecting individuals through mosquito bites. Once on human skin, the warmth triggers egg hatching, and the larvae burrow into the skin's deepest layers, where they can persist for weeks. Recalling the events of her journey, the woman vividly described the discomfort of multiple mosquito bites, each serving as a potential entry point for the botfly larvae. These seemingly innocuous bites set the stage for her distressing ordeal, underscoring the importance of vigilance and awareness when traveling to tropical regions. In conclusion, the woman's experience serves as a poignant reminder of the hidden dangers that lurk in exotic locales. Upon returning from a tropical vacation, it is imperative to seek medical attention if symptoms arise, as they could indicate a parasitic infection like that caused by botflies. While such occurrences may appear unlikely in regions like the United States, they are a common occurrence in warmer climates around the world. By remaining vigilant and proactive about seeking medical care, travelers can safeguard their health and well-being, ensuring a safe and enjoyable journey wherever their adventures may take them. After watching this story, do you have any thoughts? You can share it with everyone in the comment area, and then we will bring you in another touching story. Let's continue.
One sunny morning, William awoke feeling refreshed and ready to face the day ahead. Having just wrapped up a satisfying career, he looked forward to indulging in a leisurely cup of coffee in his kitchen. As he went about his routine, measuring out the coffee grounds and filling the kettle with water, nothing seemed amiss. However, as he reached for his favorite cup, he noticed something peculiar on his finger. Initially brushing it off as perhaps a stain from dirt or an unnoticed mishap during his morning run, William's curiosity was piqued when he examined it more closely. The small, discolored spots on his finger resembled bruises, but they appeared angry and swollen, emitting a dull ache that sent shivers of concern down his spine. Perplexed and growing increasingly uneasy, William tried to recall any recent incidents that could have caused such marks, yet his memory yielded no clues. Leaving him grasping for answers, tentatively prodding the spots in hopes of alleviating the discomfort only resulted in sharp pains radiating through his finger, deepening his sense of unease. Turning to the internet for guidance proved fruitless, as William found no explanations for the mysterious marks. Fearing the worst, he decided to seek medical attention at the hospital. However, upon seeing his finger, the doctor's reaction was unexpected, a call to the authorities. Plunging William into a bewildering whirlwind of uncertainty, as he grappled with the inexplicable situation, William's mind buzzed with questions and concerns. Was it an infection, an allergic reaction, or something far more sinister? The tiny holes he discovered upon closer inspection only deepened the mystery, leaving him feeling as though something sinister was lurking just beneath the surface. With his sense of panic mounting, William resolved to uncover the truth on his own. Determined to unravel the enigma surrounding his baffling condition, little did he know, his quest for answers would lead him down a path fraught with unexpected discoveries and chilling revelations. William wrested the phone from his companion's grasp, his fingers trembling with a mixture of anxiety and determination. He plunged into the depths of the internet, embarking on a relentless quest for answers that consumed hours of his evening. Page after page of search results flashed before his eyes, each promising a glimmer of insight into the enigma that plagued him. Despite his fervent efforts, the elusive solution remained frustratingly out of reach, leaving him to grapple with a growing sense of desperation. The more he searched, the deeper he sank into a quagmire of uncertainty, the weight of unanswered questions settling like a heavy stone in the pit of his stomach. Meanwhile, the looming shadow of the evening cast a bittersweet hue over William's thoughts. Tonight marked a pivotal moment in his life, a long-awaited date with Emma, a friend whose companionship had blossomed into something more. Anticipation mingled with apprehension as he contemplated the significance of this evening, his hopes tempered by the ominous specter of his worsening condition. With each passing hour, William's finger betrayed him. its deterioration a grim reminder of the urgency of his situation. Despite his aversion to hospitals, he knew that time was running out, and he could ill afford to delay seeking medical attention. Summoning every ounce of courage, William resolved to take matters into his own hands. With trembling fingers, he rummaged through the bathroom cabinets in search of a pair of tweezers, his mind racing with a flurry of anxious thoughts. The prospect of inflicting pain upon himself filled him with a paralyzing dread, but the fear of what lay ahead spurred him onward. Returning to the kitchen table, William steeled himself for the ordeal that awaited him. With bated breath, he poised the tweezers over his finger, his heart pounding in his chest like a drumbeat of apprehension. But just as he prepared to take the plunge, a sudden wave of doubt washed over him, casting a shadow of hesitation upon his resolve. In a moment of clarity, William reached for the phone once more, his fingers trembling as he dialed his doctor's number. After a tense exchange, the doctor's urgent directive cut through the fog of uncertainty, compelling him to seek emergency care without delay. With a mixture of relief and trepidation, William hung up the phone and made a beeline for the doctor's office, each step a testament to his unwavering determination to confront the unknown that lurked within his own flesh. As William navigated the winding roads toward the doctor's office, his mind churned with a whirlwind of thoughts and fears, each more daunting than the last. Was it too late to reverse whatever affliction gripped his finger? Could the doctors mend the damage? Or would he face the grim possibility of losing a digit, or worse? Despite the overwhelming tide of apprehension threatening to engulf him, William clung stubbornly to a flicker of hope. With each passing mile, he dared to believe that there might still be a solution, a way to emerge from this ordeal unscathed. Upon reaching the sanctuary of the doctor's office parking lot, William drew a steadying breath, steeling himself for the ordeal that lay ahead. As he stepped through the doors, he was ushered into the sterile confines of the examination room, where the doctor wasted no time in probing for answers. Questions tumbled from the doctor's lips in rapid succession, probing for clues to the mysterious affliction that marred William's finger. Yet, try as he might, William could offer little in the way of explanation. He recounted his recent whereabouts, his routine, searching for any deviation that might shed light on the situation. A memory flickered to life in the recesses of his mind, a morning run through the familiar woods, an inexplicable surge of energy coursing through his veins. Could this seemingly innocuous deviation from his routine hold the key to his affliction? Then, a more recent deviation surfaced, the visit to the hairdresser, an innocuous errand that now loomed ominously in his mind. Could an innocuous visit to the salon have somehow triggered this bizarre reaction? When the doctor examined his finger, William noted with a mixture of relief and trepidation that the searing pain had receded, replaced by an unsettling numbness. Yet, even as the doctor's brow furrowed in consternation, William clung to a sliver of hope that they might yet uncover the cause of his plight. Despite their exhaustive questioning, the doctor confessed to a baffling lack of answers. The stains and numbness defied explanation, a confounding enigma that eluded even the most seasoned medical minds. With each passing moment, the specter of uncertainty loomed larger, casting a pall over the once hopeful atmosphere of the examination room. Though they had started as complete strangers, in the face of this medical mystery, William and the doctor forged an uneasy bond, united by the urgency of their shared predicament. This was no ordinary ailment. It defied logic and eluded diagnosis, a puzzle that demanded every ounce of the doctor's expertise. With a sense of urgency bordering on desperation, the doctor wasted no time in ordering a battery of tests, each moment ticking by like a precious drop of sand in an hourglass. Every passing second felt like a lost battle in the war against whatever unseen force was ravaging William's finger. Yet, despite their best efforts, the tests yielded no definitive answers, leaving the doctor grasping at straws, his mind racing with a whirlwind of conjectures and possibilities. The specter of uncertainty loomed larger with each passing moment, casting a shadow of despair over the once hopeful atmosphere of the examination room. Desperate for answers, the doctor turned to the vast expanse of the medical community, posting photos of William's afflicted finger in online forums, hoping against hope that somewhere, someone might hold the key to unlocking this medical mystery. Meanwhile, William found himself overwhelmed by a tidal wave of anxiety and apprehension, his thoughts consumed by the gnawing dread of the unknown. what sinister force lurked within his finger, and was there any hope of finding a cure before it was too late? As William retreated to the bathroom in search of respite from the storm raging within his mind, the doctor received a private message that would change everything. Relief mingled with horror as he absorbed the contents of the message, a tale of a similar case that had ended in tragedy, a grim harbinger of the stakes they faced. With a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach, the doctor knew that they could not afford to waste another moment. Time was of the essence, and decisive action was their only hope of salvaging any semblance of a happy ending from this nightmare. When William returned to the room, he was met with a sight that sent a chill down his spine. The doctor, clad in protective gear, wore a grave expression that spoke volumes. As they settled back into their seats, the weight of the unspoken truth hung heavy in the air, a palpable reminder of the perilous journey that lay ahead. By the time the doctor's grim revelation sank in, William was seized by a sudden, overwhelming panic. The prospect of his own mortality loomed large in his mind, and in that moment, all he could think about was Emma. If he was going to die, he wanted to see her one last time. With a surge of adrenaline, William leaped to his feet, his frantic gaze darting towards the closed door. He lunged towards it, desperate to escape the confines of the room. But his efforts were futile. The door remained stubbornly shut, a barrier between him and the outside world. In his frenzy, William pleaded with the doctor to open the door, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. The doctor's attempts to calm him only fueled the flames of panic raging within him, reducing him to a primal state of desperation. With each passing second, William felt the walls closing in around him, the confines of the room becoming increasingly suffocating. Ignoring the doctor's protests, he hurled himself against the door, his fists pounding against the unforgiving wood until, finally, the lock gave way with a resounding crack. At the time, the door swung open. Chaos erupted on the other side, voices raised in alarm as William burst into the corridor, gasping for air. The doctors moved to restrain him, but he fought back with a frenzied determination, his mind consumed by a single, primal instinct, to escape. In the ensuing struggle, William was subdued by the combined efforts of the doctors and the arriving police. His frenzied resistance met with swift sedation. When he awoke, he found himself confined to a sterile hospital room. His only company the distant figure of the doctor seated across from him. With a sense of resignation, William listened as the doctor delivered the grim diagnosis: an infection caused by a rare and contagious virus, one that threatened not only his life but potentially the lives of others. Relief washed over him as the doctor assured him that the infection was treatable, but the gravity of the situation weighed heavily on his mind. Then, the doctors worked tirelessly to stem the spread of the virus and performed surgery on his ravaged finger. William's thoughts turned to Emma. It was already late, far past the time he was supposed to pick her up for their date. He knew she would be worried, and he longed to reassure her, to hold her close and tell her everything would be all right. Summoning his courage, William implored the doctor to contact Emma and explain the situation to her, though their reunion would be far from romantic. Confined as they were to opposite sides of a glass barrier, the mere thought of being together brought him a measure of comfort in the midst of the chaos. After all, in that moment, their love was the only thing that truly mattered. In the midst of the chaos, officers embarked on an investigation into the forest route that William had taken, determined to uncover the source of the insidious virus. Their efforts bore fruit when they stumbled upon a peculiar plant, foreign to the area. Tests confirmed their suspicions. It was harboring the carnivorous virus, a ticking time bomb waiting to infect unsuspecting victims. With swift and decisive action, the officers eradicated the plant, ensuring that no one else would fall prey to its deadly contagion. Meanwhile, under the vigilant care of the doctors, William's finger steadily improved. Within a month, he was completely healed, his ordeal nothing more than a distant memory, etched with small scars on his soul. Emerging from the shadows of uncertainty, William found solace in the arms of Emma, their bond strengthened by the trials they had overcome together. With newfound determination, he embraced a healthier lifestyle, trading his forest hikes for the safety of a treadmill. Reflecting on the harrowing ordeal, William couldn't help but marvel at the twists and turns of fate that had brought him to this moment. It was a story both shocking and surreal, a testament to the fragility of life and the resilience of the human spirit. after watching this story, what do you think of? You can tell us in the comment area, and then we will bring you an equally warm story. Let's expect what will happen. When Ben entered the world at Zesferer Hospital in Hungary, the medical staff were immediately captivated by his striking appearance. His hair, instead of the typical hue associated with newborns, shimmered in a unique silvery shade. This anomaly sparked a flurry of speculation among the doctors and nurses, who had never encountered such a phenomenon before. Even Ben's parents, Claudia and Thomas, were taken aback by their son's distinct hair color, especially considering that their two older children had been born with conventional dark locks. Curiosity and concern swirled in the minds of everyone present. Claudia and Thomas, understandably worried, approached the hospital's chief doctor, Dr. Kovat, seeking answers. With a reassuring demeanor, Dr. Kovat attempted to allay their fears, promising to investigate further. Despite conducting a battery of tests, the medical team found themselves at a loss to explain the origin of Ben's unique hair color. Eventually, the diagnosis emerged. Ben was diagnosed with albinism, a condition characterized by the body's inability to produce melanin, the pigment responsible for skin, hair, and eye coloration. While the revelation shed light on Ben's extraordinary appearance, it also raised concerns for his parents. Claudia, in particular, found herself grappling with worries about her son's health and well-being. Albinism posed various challenges for Ben's future. Claudia fretted over the heightened risk of sunburns, skin cancer, and infections due to his lack of melanin, which left his skin vulnerable to harmful UV radiation. Additionally, she pondered how the condition might impact Ben's vision. Knowing that albinism often comes with visual impairments, as Claudia's maternal instincts kicked into high gear, she resolved to educate herself about albinism and advocate fiercely for her son's needs. Despite the initial shock and uncertainty, Claudia and Thomas were determined to provide Ben with the love, support, and resources necessary to navigate the unique challenges posed by his condition. Claudia's concerns extended beyond just the medical implications of Ben's condition. She and her husband also fretted over the potential social ramifications for their son. Would Ben face bullying or struggle to form friendships due to his distinctive appearance? Might his albinism lead him to become withdrawn or unhappy? These were the questions weighing heavily on their minds. Recognizing the couple's anxiety, Dr. Kovat endeavored to provide reassurance. He emphasized that albinism, while notable, was not life-threatening. Moreover, he assured them that there were numerous resources available to support individuals with albinism in leading healthy, fulfilling lives. In addition to offering solace, Dr. Kovat informed Claudia and Thomas that further tests would be conducted to rule out any underlying health issues. As they awaited the results, Lena, Thomas's mother, arrived at the hospital accompanied by their older sons, Bod and Irvin. The boys, brimming with excitement, eagerly gathered around their new sibling. Marveling at his unique features, Lena, upon seeing Ben, couldn't shake the feeling of his extraordinary presence. To her, he was the epitome of beauty. However, when informed of Ben's albinism diagnosis, Lena balked. Drawing from her lifetime of experiences, she contested the diagnosis, convinced that Ben didn't fit the typical profile of an albino. Meanwhile, Bod and Irvin were captivated by their baby brother's appearance. They tenderly ran their fingers through his silky white hair. Marveling at its texture, Irvin, in particular, was entranced by Ben's piercing blue eyes, which seemed to twinkle with an ethereal light. Despite Ben's unconventional appearance, his brothers embraced him wholeheartedly, viewing him as an integral part of their family. Rather than recoiling from his differences, they found themselves drawn to his unique charm. Ultimately, the results of the medical tests brought relief to Claudia and Thomas. They learned that Ben was free from any underlying illnesses, his body deemed to be in perfect health. With this knowledge, they could look ahead with renewed optimism, confident in their ability to support Ben through any challenges he might face. Claudia's relief was palpable as the tests came back with positive results, confirming Ben's good health, though she had hoped for a conclusive explanation for his unique white hair. Claudia found solace in the absence of any medical concerns regarding her precious baby boy. The well-being of Ben was paramount to her. overshadowing any lingering curiosity about the cause of his distinctive appearance. With a sense of resilience, Claudia reassured herself that they would navigate Ben's albinism with time and find effective strategies to manage it. Her relief overflowed as she proudly shared pictures of Ben on her social media platforms. The images of his snow-white hair mesmerized online audiences, quickly gaining viral traction and captivating the hearts of thousands. News outlets caught wind of the extraordinary story, amplifying Ben's newfound fame nationwide. People from all walks of life showered the family with adoration, affectionately dubbing Ben Prince Charming, and marveling at his unique allure. The outpouring of love and well-wishes flooded Claudia's social media pages, filling her heart with gratitude for the overwhelming support. When the time came to bring Ben home, his older siblings eagerly welcomed him with open arms. Bod and Irvin couldn't get enough of their baby brother, spending endless hours playing and cuddling with him. Their love and affection for Ben were evident, creating a warm and nurturing environment for the newest addition to the family. Claudia and Thomas cherished every moment with their children, their hearts full of love and gratitude for their growing family. However, their joy was short-lived as Ben suddenly fell ill, alarming Claudia and Thomas. His loss of appetite, weight loss, and persistent high fever raised concerns, prompting the couple to seek medical attention. Initially attributing his symptoms to the harsh winter weather, they administered common flu tablets. Yet, as Ben's condition worsened and signs of skin discoloration emerged, they grew increasingly worried about a potential infection. Their attempts to seek treatment at the Zaz Farah hospital were thwarted by a nationwide strike among public hospital doctors, leaving them with no choice but to turn to a private clinic. With a sense of urgency, Claudia and Thomas rushed Ben to Mitrovic Clinic, hoping for answers and the best possible care for their ailing son. Upon examining Ben, the owner of the clinic, Dr. Mitrovic, delivered a grave prognosis to Claudia and Thomas. He suspected that their son was suffering from a severe skin infection, leaving the couple stunned and distraught. Claudia's tears flowed uncontrollably, prompting Thomas to offer what comfort he could, reminding her to wait for the conclusive test results before despairing. In a somber exchange, Dr. Mitrovic inquired about Ben's symptoms, listening attentively as Claudia and Thomas recounted their observations. Then, the anxious parents endured an agonizing wait as Ben underwent a battery of tests, each passing moment laden with tension and uncertainty. When Dr. Mitrovic finally emerged from the examination room, his solemn expression spoke volumes. Escorting Claudia and Thomas to his office, he wasted no time in delivering the grim diagnosis. Ben had contracted necrotizing fasciitis, a rare and potentially fatal skin infection often referred to as flesh-eating bacteria. The news struck Claudia with the crushing weight of her worst fears realized, her anguish palpable as she grappled with the reality of her son's condition. Despite the devastating prognosis, Dr. Mitrovic offered a glimmer of hope, reassuring the distraught parents that the infection was not a death sentence. Promising to do everything in his power to treat Ben, he urged them to remain strong in the face of adversity. Ben was swiftly admitted to the clinic, necessitating a special private room where Claudia could stay by his side. Thomas, burdened with worry, returned home alone to gather essential belongings for his wife and ailing son. Upon his arrival, Bod and Irvin, eagerly anticipating their family's return, rushed to greet their father. Their excitement quickly turned to concern as they realized Thomas had come back alone. Alarmed, they anxiously questioned their father about Ben's well-being, their expressions reflecting their deep-seated worry. In response, Thomas enveloped his sons in a comforting embrace, silently reassuring them amidst the uncertainty that lay ahead. Forced into a facade of reassurance, Thomas feigned a smile as he assured his sons that Ben's diagnosis was nothing more than a case of the flu. Hoping to quell their concerns, he promised them that Claudia and Ben would soon return home, their family intact. Bod and Irvin, grasping onto their father's words like lifelines, found comfort in the illusion of normalcy, albeit temporary. Meanwhile, Claudia's heart weighed heavy as she sat beside a bench, her tears mingling with memories of her cousin Anna's recent loss. Anna's son, Jan, born with a rare skin condition plaguing him with relentless seizures, had tragically passed away just shy of his first birthday. Claudia, haunted by the image of Jan's suffering, whispered silent prayers to spare Ben from a similar fate, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. 3 agonizing days crawled by, and Thomas found himself seeking solace in the quiet of his room after visiting his wife and newborn at the clinic. It was then that the radio crackled with news of the striking doctors suspending their protest. A spark of hope ignited within Thomas as an idea began to form in his mind, a chance to seek alternative expertise for Ben's condition. With determination fueling his steps, Thomas resolved to visit Dr. Kovat, renowned for his specialized knowledge, believing that Dr. Kovat's experience could offer Ben the best chance of recovery. Thomas made his way to Zasfra Hospital the following morning. When Thomas entered the hospital, Dr. Kovat's familiar face greeted him warmly. Without preamble, Thomas divulged the details of Ben's illness, his urgency palpable in the air. Dr. Kovat, renowned for his astute diagnosis and compassionate care, listened intently, his demeanor shifting from warmth to shock as Thomas recounted Dr. Mitrovich's diagnosis, in a sudden burst of disbelief. Dr. Kovat removed his signature glasses, his expression mirroring the gravity of the situation. With a puzzled tone, he questioned Thomas about the origins of the diagnosis, his disbelief evident in his voice. Thomas wasted no time in expressing his disdain for Dr. Mitrovich's judgment, labeling him as a charlatan unworthy of trust. In that moment, a sense of determination filled the room as Thomas and Dr. Kovat shared a mutual resolve to ensure Ben received the care he deserved. With unwavering determination, they embarked on a journey to confront Ben's illness head-on, united in their quest for answers and hope. Dr. Kovat's response dripped with mockery as he remarked, "He's even lucky he hasn't been arrested yet, but mark my words, with the way he's going, I bet he'll soon have to face the music." Thomas, stunned into silence, struggled to comprehend the gravity of the situation. Finally finding his voice, he implored Dr. Kovat for clarity. Unable to fathom the implications of his words, with a cold demeanor, Dr. Kovat slowly addressed Thomas's concerns. The gravity of his words sent a shiver down Thomas's spine as he realized the potential severity of Ben's condition. Gathering his resolve, Thomas pressed Dr. Kovat for a solution. In a tone of finality, Dr. Kovat insisted on conducting proper tests, his conviction leaving no room for doubt. Determined to uncover the truth, Thomas wasted no time in driving to the Mitrovic clinic. Though Dr. Mitrovic was absent, Thomas's urgency was met with cooperation from the clinic's assistant nurse. Settling the expenses without hesitation, Thomas hurried to Ben's ward, his heart heavy with concern. Claudia, noticing her husband's distress, sought answers. With a sense of urgency, Thomas assured her they needed to see Dr. Kovat immediately. Without delay, the couple, accompanied by Ben, arrived at Zasfra Hospital. Dr. Kovat swiftly took charge, whisking Ben away for testing. Leaving Claudia and Thomas to wait anxiously, hours passed like an eternity until Dr. Kovat emerged from the testing room, a grin of relief adorning his face. Rushing to the bewildered couple, he delivered the news they had desperately hoped for. Ben was suffering from a common cold, not the dreaded skin infection. Their baby would be fine with proper treatment. Overwhelmed with relief, Claudia couldn't contain her tears, this time tears of joy, true to Dr. Kovat's assurance. Ben's health steadily improved, and within days, he was fully recovered. Gratitude overflowed from Thomas and Claudia as they thanked Dr. Kovat profusely for saving their baby's life. Dr. Kovat, seizing the opportunity, proposed conducting a series of meticulous tests on Ben, eager to utilize the experience for further research and understanding. With newfound gratitude and trust, Claudia and Thomas readily agreed, knowing that their ordeal had led to a silver lining of scientific advancement. The comprehensive testing finally offered clarity on the puzzling mystery surrounding Ben's distinctive hair and skin tone. Eagerly consenting to the tests, Claudia and Thomas hoped for answers that had eluded them for so long. After nearly a week of exhaustive examination, Dr. Kovat and his team achieved a breakthrough. They uncovered a previously unknown gene within Ben's DNA, attributing it to his unique white hair. Astonished by this unprecedented discovery, the doctors explained to Claudia and Thomas that Ben's hair color wasn't due to albinism, as previously assumed. Rather, It stemmed from a novel genetic mutation, unparalleled in medical literature. Though the origin of this new gene remained a mystery, the doctors assured Claudia and Thomas that it posed no harm to Ben. His white hair, they explained, was a remarkable phenomenon, indicative of his genetic uniqueness, despite initial shock. Claudia and Thomas found solace in the doctor's reassurances. Dr. Kovat further clarified that Ben wasn't a typical albino, as traces of melanin were present in his system. Additionally, they anticipated that Ben's hair color might evolve as he aged and his body produced more melanin. Yet, for the time being, Ben possessed the most extraordinary white hair known to medicine. Claudia and Thomas, overwhelmed yet relieved by the revelations, marveled at the extraordinary nature of their son. Ben's uniqueness surpassed anything they could have imagined, filling them with a sense of wonder and gratitude for the remarkable individual he was becoming. That's today's story. After listening to the above 3 stories, do you have any thoughts? You can share with everyone in the comment area. If you like them, please subscribe and like them. See you next time.